What's up, everybody? My name is Terrell Bynum, and this is Legal Playbook, where I break down all the legal information without all the legal talk. Today we'll be discussing former Governor of Kentucky, Matt Bevin, and the 600 pardons, yes, 600 pardons that he issued before he left office. That's got a lot of people talking and a lot of people very upset, including the new Attorney General, Daniel Cameron, who has since sent this case out to the FBI for further investigation. But before we get into all that, let's start from the beginning. So Matt Bevin, the Republican governor, or former Republican governor of Kentucky, lost the election. And like many governors do, before he left office, he issued his pardons, that he had been meaning to do, because at that point, once the pardon goes through, there's nothing that you can really do. And he's leaving office, so he doesn't even care. But in this particular case, he issued 600 pardons, freeing people of all types of crimes. And so what a pardon does, it doesn't get rid of the conviction, but it takes care and it deals with all the punishment. So there's no punishment for the crime. If someone was in jail, they're released that instant, right? So like I said, that's not even a big deal. But in this case, I started looking into some of these pardons because there were so many, and they found that I believe for like a murder, the person pardoned, I believe their family had donated like $20,000 or done some type of campaigning event for Matt Bevin, and that made people very upset because the pardon power is like this unchecked power. However, it can still be abused, and it appears that in this case, Matt Bevin abused it. So let's break down this idea of the pardon power, right? Only really like people in two positions get the pardon power. That's high up on the federal level. We have the president, that's protected by the Constitution, his right to pardon. Then on a state level, we have governors, right? Every state governor has the power and authority to pardon, and most of them do. Maybe not 600 times, but most people use it. So what could this mean for you and me, right? Well, hopefully nothing, because I don't want to be in jail. I don't want to have to rely on the pardon power. But if you're in that situation, it can come in handy. And a lot of times we can see this power used where maybe it's someone in jail for a nonviolent drug offense, or DNA evidence raises question later on. So we're thinking that they probably were unfairly found guilty, which that reflects a lot on people of color. So this power is serious, and it can be used to really do some great things in the community. Now, people are worried when you have abuses of power, at least what appears to be that in this case, and they want to limit that pardon power, which the pardon power was never really meant to be limited. And maybe like a few instances, pardons have been blocked, but that's before they ever go through. Or someone will take away a pardon when they find out more information. For instance, I believe it was President Bush went to pardon somebody, then it came out that their family had donated to his campaign, and so he undid the pardon, right? To make it the idea of this umbrella of fairness. He didn't want to look like he was abusing the authority. Well, Matt Bevin, he doesn't care. So that brings us to the new Attorney General, the new sheriff in town, Daniel Cameron. And who is he, right? Who is Daniel Cameron? Daniel Cameron is the first African-American Attorney General in the state of Kentucky. He's the first African-American to be independently elected to state office. And he's a big deal, at least in Kentucky. He's the man. I mean, this guy even played D1 football at University of Louisville, Kentucky, before going to law school there, Beeston Law School, and then pretty quickly became the legal counsel for Mitch McConnell, who is the Senate Majority Leader. And we all recognize him as a big-time Republican. And that's also because Daniel Cameron is a Republican himself, which is probably why a lot of people don't know about him, but he's a Republican. And as crazy as that sounds, it's real. And he's not just any Republican, he's as Republican as you can be. Him and Trump have a great relationship. He's spoken with Trump. He supported Trump's policies on immigration. Wanted to assist with ICE. He supports the wall. He wants to be like the the peace, or like I guess the protector of law enforcement, to make sure that they have their resources that they need. He's very concerned with drugs entering the state, entering the country. So a lot of things that he's speaking on are things that are not voiced, at least from a lot of the black communities. And he definitely raises the question of like, okay, if you're black, are you automatically a Democrat? And you really want to say no. I mean, it's by choice, right? But in all reality, you really want to say no. You want to say you can be either side, you can do whatever. And then at the same time, when you're trying to figure out that piece, you hear Daniel Cameron, who's a strong black man, but at the same time, he's saying all these things that aren't really helpful for the black community. And to be honest, I mean, he's great. Like, I'm not going to doubt his legal prowess, his ability at all. But he's giving me like Clarence Thomas vibes. And for those of you who are not familiar with Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, if you've ever seen Boondocks, think about Uncle Ruckus. If you know about Uncle Ruckus, I think I've summed up Clarence Thomas's entire career. Like, that's pretty much it. But okay, so moving on, because that's not even the point. I did want to spread awareness that we do have a black attorney general in Kentucky, which I think is great. No matter where you are, achievement is good. So moving on from there, right? And back to these pardons. Like, is this pardon thing really serious? As of now, Daniel Cameron has only asked for the FBI to probe former Governor Matt Bevin, which means to look into it to make sure there was no abuse of power. That probably isn't going to do much. The issue could be in future regulations to limit the pardon power, because it really does help. It really does help our community. I'm going to drop one name, and there's many, but one name of someone that we all know who benefited from a pardon. I guess the term was clemency, but pardon is all the same. And that's Allen Iverson. During his senior year in high school, he was in jail for a crime that he was not guilty of. It was this, racism, this bar, it was a bowling alley, a big fight broke out. He actually got knocked out in the very beginning, never threw a punch, but his name was on it, and he was in jail the entire senior year until, through a lot of protesting and advocacy, he was granted a pardon. And that allowed him to go to Georgetown and then to the NBA and become like the great basketball player and great like influencer of basketball that we all know for him to be. And just to think that entire existence, experience, his legend that he's created for himself, we would have never experienced if it wasn't for like the ability and power of a pardon. And if you start allowing too many people in that decision, it's going to greatly limit the number of pardons that can happen. And that that's concerning. That's something we should not want. But at the same time, I'm going to be honest, we don't want people abusing the pardon power as well. In Daniel Cameron's defense in this matter, he's working with Republicans and Democrats to investigate former Governor Matt Bevin. And that also is something that you guys should look into, because to think about the Republican Party, everything that's happened, and all the types of behavior that Trump has condoned or defended, this whole like pardons for money thing doesn't seem too far out of the ordinary, but apparently it is. They're voicing, they're calling it out. But I also think it's interesting to look at what Trump is into, what he's going to defend and what he's not going to defend. I really am interested to see if this will come up later. We'll just have to see, but I do want to make you all aware of it. These 600 pardons happening in Kentucky. I mean, there's 600 people that are out now chilling that might have been convicted for rape, murder, or maybe something less. I mean, there's a lot of different cases that are happening. I'm just naming out the big ones. But I hope you all look into it. And shoot, I hope you enjoy this. If you have any questions, please do a comment. You like it, give me a like, give me a share. And until next time, man, from Legal Playbook, Terrell Bynum, peace.